Forward, we got Ole Miss versus Tulane. Now, here's why I picked this game, and it's going back to the what we're talking about with the Oklahoma Tulane game. Lane Kiffin said today that Tulane is an SEC school, and what he followed with was they're a really good team, very talented, and very well coached. That's high praise coming from Lane Kiffin.
Yep.
We're going to see in this game whether the actual talent level of Tulane is up there and they're that competitive, or whether Oklahoma really did struggle in that game. So, I mean, I'm going Ole Miss, but I think that praise from Lane Kiffin is noteworthy.
I think Lane Kiffin is just covering his bases.
Probably, and he may be.
I love Tulane's coach, though. I think he is a really solid coach. I think he's done a really, really good job at rallying behind Tulane. That quarterback, Matt, I can't remember his last name. He comes out and he plays with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
he plays like he is in the SEC, but he's like lower level SEC.
Right.
So I don't want to say that the Ole Miss is gonna come out and just dominate. However, if Matt Corral does what Matt Corral does best and he throws touchdowns, it's gonna be really hard. Like, I think that the firepower that Ole Miss has better than the firepower that Oklahoma had.
Yeah.
So I want to preface this by saying that Tulane is going to be a solid team for the rest of the year. I think they're going to be, if their two biggest losses are to Ole Miss and Oklahoma, or if their only two losses are to Ole Miss and Oklahoma, that's some good losses. And especially if you keep the Ole Miss game close, that is a really big, that gets you top 25 consideration in my book.
Right.
So I'm going with Ole Miss on this one as well.
Arizona State, BYU 19 versus 23 matchup. If you'd asked me this a week ago, I would have probably went with Arizona State, but after last week's matchup with Utah, I'm taking BYU.
Yeah, I want to not go BYU because
I did not think they were going to be that good, but after last week, it's pretty clear. They're a well-coached team, and they're here to play.
They had a dude that gave me my best quote of the afternoon. I told you this before we started recording. Kid came on. They asked him what the plan was after the game, where the party's at, and he says, "No party. I'm gonna go to bed because I got church in the morning."
Yeah.
So, you know what? I think Jesus is with these guys. I love Jesus. These guys love Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's go Cougars.
Angels in the backfield. Number 21, North Carolina versus Virginia. I chose this game because I think it has pretty high implications for the ACC. Virginia had a pretty big win this past weekend. North Carolina had a pretty big loss weekend number one. So, the smart money's probably on North Carolina, but I'm taking Virginia because I like I think they're fired up. They've had some really great play. I think Virginia has the momentum going in, and I think North Carolina thinks a little bit too much of themselves. Now, I could be wrong. Sam Howell may go in and pick apart this defense and bring North Carolina back to what everybody expected them to be, but until I see it, and I will be glad to be wrong. So I would love to see North Carolina still competitive, but I think it's Virginia.
Look, Sam Howell threw 29 passes and had 352 yards last week against Georgia State.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm gonna go Virginia. I think it's been a long time since we've seen a team be good up there for the Virginia Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I hope it's a good game. Again, I'm going to bring it back to that point. I want to see North Carolina be good. Do they really have it? Is the ACC where they be at, for this season? I think that with a new commissioner, with everything that's going on inside of their body and everything, I just don't think the ACC's got it this year, man. And North Carolina, they've proven it. They're playing their way out of it, is what I'm saying.
So far, the Pac-12 has looked pretty much stronger. I mean, they've had better wins than the ACC and the Big 12. Those two marquee wins, UCLA over LSU and Oregon over Ohio State, are better than anything from the ACC or the Big 12 thus far. So, Miami versus Michigan State. I think this is going to be a pretty good game. I don't know what the smart. Honestly, I do not know what the smart money is on here. I want to say Miami. I want to believe. I want to believe in the Hurricanes. But last week, they just, what was going on there? Like, kind of like what I was talking about the week before. Are they going to let the Alabama game define them? They absolutely let that game define who they are in the following week, because they went into this to week 2 as a defeated low-tier team. That is not the talent and coaching that they have at Miami. Now, do they carry that into week 3? Or do they bring the juice? Do they bring the fire? Do they say, okay, we got through this one. We can breathe. You know, we're not 0-2. We're not FSU. You know, we're in better shape. We've got to take it to Michigan State, or we're going to be 1-2, and we don't need that moving forward, because if we continue to win, we can go further in the season with 1 loss to the number 1 team. That's not bad. So the question is their coach, Manny Diaz, is he going to be able to get this through to his team to where they bring some fire to this game, or are they still going to be like hanging their heads down like, oh no, we lost to Alabama? You know, like, what attitude is Miami bringing to this game? I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard to pick for me. I'm gonna bet on Manny Diaz getting his team fired up. So I'm gonna go with Miami. But I just don't know. I may be making a bad bet here.
Alabama needs Miami to win. That's all I'm gonna say.
They do.
And we don't really need them to win because we're the predominant favorite moving forward, anyways. But like, this is what happens when somebody says we want Bama. This is what happens when somebody says we're going to beat Bama.
Tennessee said it in the second quarter, and then they lost.
Like, everybody says that, and then they get beat. So, like, just the best bet is to not say that's Alabama. Come to the football game.
Yeah.
And here we go. You know, like, I do want to pick Miami. I'm going to pick Miami. They're a 6.5 point favorite. But this is that upset alert game as well. That's like, I don't know about it. I don't know about it.
That's the truth, man. Last game to wrap her up. We got Virginia Tech versus West Virginia. I think this is going to be a really good game. West Virginia played really well in the first week. I didn't even look and see what they did this past week. I don't know. They didn't win in week 1, but they played a good game. Like, it wasn't, they didn't get beat down. They played a good football game. But Virginia Tech, I believe they beat North Carolina week 1, didn't they?
They beat North Carolina week 1. They beat Middle Tennessee last week.
Middle Tennessee is not Middle Tennessee. I mean, they're not, you know, I mean, they're not UAB or Cincinnati, but I mean, for a lower end school, they're not going to come in and just let you walk all over them. They're going to fight, kind of like Mercer does. You know, I mean, Mercer is not they're a JV team, but you know, they're going to at least play hard. So
these FCS teams, they don't let you, like, they come into these games with a chip on their shoulder because they're like, well, we do belong. Like, we want to prove that we do belong in these spots. You know, so like, I do appreciate these FCS teams because they don't give up, man. They don't roll over and die.
Yeah.
But I want to say West Virginia. I don't think I can say West Virginia because West Virginia hasn't been West Virginia in probably 10 years, 15 years. That's since Pat McAfee was there. And I really love
Pat McAfee.
I love what this Virginia. Yeah, shout out Pat Mac. That is my second favorite podcast ever. If you guys go listen to the Pat McAfee show and love it, he is going to make you laugh. He's going to make you cry.
So funny.
But I'm going Vatech with this. I like.
Man, Virginia Tech has, I mean, that week 1 game, they looked like the second best team in the ACC. Now, was it because North Carolina came out and just didn't, like, they just thought they were going to walk on the field and win because they have Sam Howell? Maybe. Or was it because Virginia Tech is well coached and played harder, you know, kind of like the Arkansas versus Texas game? I mean, if we're being realistic, you know, Arkansas is not a more talented team, but they were better coached and they came, you know, more prepared to win. That's just like Oregon and Ohio State. So what team are we seeing this week? I think Virginia Tech they got something going there. I'd like to see them carry it forward. Because I want to see more more competitive teams. It's getting boring seeing the same teams, and I even say this for the SEC, even though it's a little more competitive than some of the other ones. Want to see more. I think we talked about it last week. I want to see LSU. I want to be afraid of them again when they come to Alabama, or when we go to Death Valley.
They had that 1 year.
Yeah. When I play Arkansas, I want to be like, they might be middle of the road, but they can still drop one on you. I don't want it to be a foregone conclusion that that Alabama's just going to win that game. I would rather it be like Auburn, like even if they're 5-7, they still might, slap you across the face. And that's how the Auburn-Alabama game is every year. You don't know who's going to win that game, no matter which team's better. So that's how I like a conference to be. But in most recent years, the majority of conferences are not that way. They're top heavy. So, I think with the NIL, deals and everything too, I think it's going to even it out some. But yeah, I think Virginia Tech. I like Virginia Tech in this game, and that's going to make all the difference. How their momentum from week 1 carrying over, and then again, West Virginia may flip the script. So I think it is an upset alert, but I like Virginia Tech to win it.
Yeah, there's 3 really those 3 games that we said were upset alerts are like they're there.
This makes 4
upsets, but there could be. I don't really see this week being filled with upsets as much.
Right.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this video. If you would like, give us a like, give us a comment, whatever. We'll interact, I promise.
Hit the subscribe, notification bell, all the good stuff, help out the algorithm. We're trying to grow this channel, man. And as soon as Jerry gets down here in Alabama, we'll be doing live streams, which are going to be really fun. Have people interact. We're going to have some guests on and do some things like that, which we're really excited about too. So
we're going to have actual podcast stuff, and that's what's going to be really fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Guys, just thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. We hope you guys enjoy it.
Yep. See you next time.
Peace.